The forces of chaos and life are allied. I've been saying this for a while now. I've been telling you guys, when I look at the, how everything's playing out, how everything's laying out, I think the Burning Legion and FEL magic in general is more like the true light and life itself than the forces of order and arcane and everything else that we've dealt with before. Let's see what our friend Pyromancer has to say about this.
Okay, dude. We have to talk about it at least briefly. There's a lot of different theories about FEL. Like, the fact that it's green...
Yeah.
And that it can, morph and change life, that has to be, majorly significant, right?
Oh, yeah.
The actual use of FEL, I understand in a lot of cases is, brutal, and we, see it taking life out of things, but FEL can also, shape and mold and change life. It's almost like a fucking...
It's interesting.
What the fuck is it? It's so weird. I mean, I get that it's, chaos and it's, all magics and stuff or whatever, but it's just,
One thing
seems...
One thing specifically that I found very interesting about FEL recently, and I'll show this real quick, is we know that the new light, or what is it? The light that is being used in Hallowfall, which is the new zone in World of Warcraft. And we've talked about this before. But Hallowfall specifically is very interesting because the light that they use in that zone, the light that these Arathi people use, is described as a fire. And in fact, these blimps that fly around in that zone, they are supposedly powered by a fiery light, right? A light that is very, it's not described as the same light that we've often used, but it's described as a flame or a fire. So it's interesting that when we hear about this stuff, a fiery light, and then we look at the whole chain of order and everything, what is often described as fire? FEL. FEL magic has been described as fire in a lot of ways, and that's why I think that FEL magic, or FEL fire, is very closely related to the holy light and the true fiery light flame that we're going to come to know here when we visit Hallowfall and visit the new Arathi people. I mean, look, they're opposite. Arcane order, FEL and fire, disorder. I think we might find out that the FEL isn't all bad. Maybe it was used for evil, but it's not in fact totally evil. Let's continue here.
I don't know. I feel like we're still misunderstanding something about FEL, or maybe it really is just the proper combination of flame and shadow. The thing is why is FEL different from Shadow Flame? What is the difference there? Is it because the Shadow and Shadow Flame is void energy, and the Shadow and FEL is I mean, is there a difference?
Yeah, again, looking here,
I mean, it is a very chaotic magic. Just
I don't
in
think
nature, right? FEL is supposed to be all the different magics kind of combined together.
I don't think that it's related to the void. I don't. I think when you look at FEL fire, it's very far away from void, and that doesn't mean that they're not connected in any way. But I just don't think that it's a void power or entity. Yeah, I don't. Yeah, sure, I'll link this in the chat. But I definitely don't think that. I think it's its own entity, it's its own power, and it's more closely related probably to the true light than it is to the void. But let's hear more about this.
There, I guess. And they're all coexisting in a very chaotic form, but it works. It's what is Arcane then? What is Arcane?
Arcane is...
In terms of comparing it to Void.
Is interesting.
I guess the idea of Arcane, and like I said, well, at least the idea of order is division. Right, so you split it up into different aspects. Arcane, Frost, Fire. But it's all, at its core, the same thing.
One thing about Arcane that's interesting is it's very much control related, right? It is in fact on the order side of things. And if you ever known, you guys know that mages, when they use Arcane, when they use fire, right, or frost magic, they're not actually using the elements. If you don't know that, a shaman, when he shoots a fireball, he is using the elements to do that, or shoots a water or whatever, he uses the elements. Arcane mages, or mages in general, a fire mage is not controlling fire. They are using Arcane to grab the fire and shoot it at you. They are, in fact, using Arcane to control the elements. They're not using the elements themselves. Arcane is very much order and control related. The Titans themselves are created by they are of Arcane. So it's a very much an orderly magic. Whereas FEL, you look at like a Warlock or something, that shit's just wild. That's fiery. It's completely disorderly. It's has nothing to do with order. In fact, it is the opposite. Especially if you look at the chart here, it is in fact the opposite of order.
You'll notice that like arcane magic typically has the capacity to divide. Like for example, during the Argus fight, when Aman'Thul blasts Argus with his time magic, it splits him into a bunch of different constellar designates.
True planes.
And each one has a weakness.
Oh, that's
and
from the other
Aman'Thul,
lore.
it's actually an unused voice line, but Aman'Thul commands Norganon to use his keen senses.
Hell is the opposite of order.
Fucking expose
and this
their
true is the
weakness or
opposite.
whatever. And Norganon essentially like identifies what the weakness of all of them are, like instantly, which is kind of terrifying. And like for instance, if the holy one, right, you attack it with holy magic, it takes like 5x damage or something like that. So it identified the actual weakness in them. But that showed me that like arcane magic in this use case, it would seem has the capacity to divide and split.
Certainly, yeah.
Which is kind of the opposite of what FEL does, where FEL is all magic kind of twisted together in this chaotic form that doesn't divide things, but either like destroys it completely or melds into it and kind of like assimilates to it.
Yeah.
Which is...
One way, like, by the way, I describe Arcane and the way it's used by mages to kind of control elements, right? To kind of grab them and throw them out rather than using the elements themselves. That's what I think the Naru are. I think the Naru might be some type of Titan arcane magic that was used to try to control holy flaming light. It is like a controlled version of it. And that's what the Naru are, and that's why they're kind of orderly and weirdly corrupt in an odd way, and they tried to, grab Illidan and heal his scars, like that kind of weird shit going on. I don't think that's the true light. I think the Naru are like some kind of weird arcane magic controlled light. And that's what we've been exposed to over time, is that being the true light when it's not. It is like a controlled version of the light. And somehow the Titans got over here and controlled it. I'm still not sure how. Maybe we'll find out. But it's an interesting one.
It just changes it. So, like, FEL magic is chaos and it can be used destructively, yes. But I would like to also throw out there that I've seen Arcane be used in a very sinister and similar fashion to FEL. If you guys don't remember this, there was a quest line
the Sun
from
is the
Legion.
original
whole
light.
Quest line about Illidan is like
Very
super
interesting.
relevant. And part of the quest line has you at Blackrook Hold, where you're going through days where Illidan was just a powerful sorcerer. This is before he took on the FEL. And he literally, using arcane magic, sucks the life out of multiple mages in front of him in order to empower himself, killing them just like what FEL does.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So the magic itself does not necessarily dictate the use. Keep that in mind.
Yeah, that's true.
That's to say that even though FEL and Arcane are inherently very different, they can be used in exactly the same ways sometimes.
Yeah. Right. It's not the weapon. It's the wielder of the weapon that chooses how to use it. Yeah, certainly, I can see that being a possibility.
And that just means that like the idea that FEL is just inherently like an evil thing or like has evil capacity might not necessarily be true.
Right.
It's just a different kind of magic that's been deemed bad because, let's be honest, it's antithetical to order. That's why it's bad. That's the only reason demons are probably even looked at as bad. Like, don't take this the wrong way, but like there's a lot of demons that are pretty chill. Gonna be honest.
Probably.
Yeah, when they have their orders and they're going and like fucking laying siege to
the demons are not inherently bad, right? They are a like race that exists. They are out there, and then they were just kind of harnessed by Sargeras and used in a bad way. But they are not inherently bad. How he was controlling them, I'm not exactly sure. How he convinced them to join him, or maybe he just scared them into joining him. He's just, threatened to destroy them if they didn't. Who knows? But no, demons are not inherently bad necessarily.
World, they're probably not going to be very chill because they're literally at war. But like, we have good warlocks. They use FEL all the time.
So Frostmourne isn't an evil sword.
It's funny you asked
just
that,
the user.
Hexalon, because actually I do think...
Well, Frostmourne is a sword with you know, domination magic inscribed on it, so it is in fact a weapon of evil, I guess, in that the person who inscribed the domination and magic on it is evil. So whoever wields the sword will become inherently evil. That's a bit different than just a weapon or a magic. That weapon was created to control and create evil.
The most
Kinda
chill
different.
example of demons actually
Different example.
is, what do they call them? The succubus and the other thing, incubus. There's actually a quest line. I can't remember what it's from. It's got to be from the warlock class order hall. It was in the Black Temple. I remember going there. You're like working with the Shivara who there's like demons missing or something, and she's like worried about them. She's like genuinely like distraught that they're gone. And we like go to find them for her and bring her back, and she's like very just like great. Is that part of the Green Fire quest? Yeah. She's like very grateful for it, and she just like expresses gratitude in a manner that you just don't get to see with like a lot of demons. And it's just like a very interesting like look into like, wow, that was very human of you, you know, like very civil of you. And I think that that there's probably a lot more of that exists than what we realize. But when you're on a fucking crusade to cleanse the fucking universe, whether it's correct or not, I can understand why they behave the way that they do, especially if FEL has a capacity to drive things into a frenzy. But it sounds like it's just like it really makes things disorderly. It's just chaos, right? We're seeing in the dream, we're seeing life do the same thing. I'm literally seeing dream energies surge out and cause life to go on chaotic rampages against itself. And FEL is nowhere around. You know what I mean? So different magics, once again, can cause similar phenomenon to occur. And I think that that's like a really important thing to recognize, because I think that it's going to come out to be that like, even though life seems to be ordered, there is a very real chance that life, because it is inherently and naturally chaotic, is working with the forces of chaos. And they're more closely related to each other than Arcane is. If we look at the charts, you're asking what we're watching a video about how life and chaos are directly related, right? And we're looking at the charts here as Pyro goes through his theory as well. And certainly they are connected. I mean, when you look at this is the planes of existence for World of Warcraft. FEL fire and nature and the wild gods, they are closely, you know, they are very much next to each other here. There's a bridge literally between them, whereas Earth and Decay are more closely related. So you got the Order of the Titans and Earth and Decay being closely related here. But then on the complete opposite end, you got Life and Fire and FEL. That's what we were saying. FEL might not be all bad. And even the Holy Light, the true light, is described as a fiery thing. Right? The Naru, I'm questioning still, as a Titan creation. A basically arcane, forced-in creation of light. But certainly, when we look at the chart again, fire and FEL and all that, very closely, you know, linked to spirit and the wild gods and nature and life. The Titans certainly don't like life. We've literally seen Aman'Thul rip a tree out of the world because he didn't like that shit, because he saw life as disorderly. So it's very interesting to think about FEL as not evil, because we've always seen it as evil because of how it was used. Haven't maybe you necessarily realized it.
This map
because,
makes
like I said,
no
life
sense.
does not want
it's a
to
map
be
from
controlled.
them.
Life
from
is
Blizzard.
not meant to be controlled. Bad things happen when life gets controlled and ordered.
Pepe's
the dream is an example
Dreadlord.
of that. It's kind of weird that we have a literal shadow and flame being used here, which is what FEL is described as. It's very important, I think, that we are able to recognize the difference. And I wonder, like, was Deathwing simply trying to recreate something that was beyond his comprehension?
Maybe.
The Shadow Flame maybe is a perversion of what FEL really is. Because I'm not so sure that FEL, like, incorporates... Like, FEL is so interesting because it cannot take unto itself any light, nor can it take unto itself any void. If they come into contact, it explodes. So, those magics do not
It's a very
go
unstable
together
magic, at least.
all. To be honest,
9/11.
there's not... I don't really think there's many magics that do work with Fel.
No, I
Like
think
maybe Shadow, but at the same time, like, what is death compared to the void when it comes to Shadow? I mean, like, I don't know. Shadow Flame, Void and Flame, maybe Life and Flame is Fel.
life and
I mean,
flame
Shadow
is
Flame
Fel.
is not powered, as far as I can tell, directly from the power of a soul, is it? Maybe that's the key distinction, is that Fel is fueled by the most potent power source probably in the universe.
Souls.
What
I
is...
remember when Gul'dan was using Fel to drain the souls of the Draenei to open up the portal to our world. Like that's what he was using it for. And we saw direct scenes of that in the Warcraft movie. Oh, God, man, bringing that thing up. Yeah, the WoW movie, if you remember, he was using Fel magic to drain the souls and then power the portal to open it up to come to our world. So it certainly has the power to take life. I don't know about granting it. When it comes in contact with life, it's explosive. Well, it's very, I would say it's very unstable. That's the way to describe Fel. A very unstable flame.
Shadow Flame...
He's bringing up the WoW movie.
Is it the same? It's just void-infused flame or something, no? Right, like it's just a mixture, but I don't know if it's truly the same thing. Maybe what it suggests is that you can't just take two magics and put them together and expect it to just make
that could be it. Yeah.
Maybe there's more to it. Maybe Fel is not simply just flame and shadow. Maybe it's something beyond that. Maybe there is a power that... Maybe it suggests that Sargeras wielded a power that was beyond... I mean, clearly... Look, like, Deathwing is cool and all, but, like, Deathwing is not going to have the same capacity for magic as Sargeras. Like, it's just, like, fucking apples to oranges. That's not a comparison.
Right,
So...
right. I mean, here he is again. Yeah, we're gonna do this. We're definitely bringing up the Warcraft movie. Yeah. Look at this. I mean, this is the scene I'm talking about, where he is essentially draining the souls, using Fel magic to drain souls and power this Fel portal.
We'll build a new portal, and when it is complete, we'll bring through all of the Horde.
Look at these poor Draenei just get drained. Fel magic, boom. Souls being drained. They dead. And then he uses it to directly power the portal. So I mean, in essence what he did there is he combined life and Fel magic, right? I mean, he did. He combined life and Fel magic to create this portal to our world. Yeah, I mean, there it is. It's open. It's an interesting thing to watch happen in the movie. Like, I'm not saying the movie is... I mean, the movie is canon, right? It is. That's a fact. It's based on actual lore. But it's interesting to look at because...
I don't know.
He's combining the two magics to create
That's
a portal to our
another
world.
interesting thing is demons. Like, Shadow Flame is not turning things into demons. It doesn't...
And then you look at the map again. Here it is. Yeah, he's using spirit and fire to create a portal into our reality. That's what he did. He bridged these two, and then that created a portal into our world. It's, hey, the WoW movie. There you go. Revealed everything.
Which I think just goes to show, like, once again, Fel is something very, like, unique. It's not the same thing. Didn't you say Fel was all magic combined? That's, like, allegedly what it is. We could just look it up. It's all magical schools. So, for instance, in that Argus fight, when he divides Argus up into all those pieces, I can attack any of them with Chaos Bolt, and it will do maximum damage.
Oh, 124 more to our Scourge. Thank you, Level Up Ken. I appreciate that, man. We are deep diving into Fel and life and everything else and seeing how they are related. Yeah, I don't know. If you're into lore speculation, that's what we're doing right now.
To this realm.
Yeah. Sailor, thank you for the follow and welcome to our Scourge. We are definitely deep diving into this. So, Fel fire, not exactly evil. That's what we're talking a little bit about, and how nature and everything else is related to the light and the true light. It's a deep thing we're into here.
Damage to anything.
So buckle up.
Because everything...
Thank you, Level Up Cat, for the
every
for the
affinity
raid.
is weak to chaos. In that regard. this is another, like, this is like a, again, yeah, this is just like, it all feeds into
Also,
how
go
the
blue
magics
to
are
anybody in the
and
raid.
how cosmic forces bleed together. That things are not strictly separated
Kat,
in the way
thanks.
that the Titans want you to see it. And I think that's also one of the biggest fucking themes in all of the history of World of Warcraft, is that there is like duality and a connection between things that at first glance might appear to be directly opposing forces.
True.
But once you look into it, it's not that hard to realize that like life is dependent on death and vice versa. That like chaos and order cannot exist singularly. Like that
Right, they're opposing forces.
light
They have
and-
to
and
exist.
shadow
For
are
one to
not-
exist, the other has to exist.
they're not, like, I have yet to see a battle between fucking void forces and light forces, even on a micro scale. Like, I just don't fucking see that. Like, so I'm waiting for, like, when are these big opposing forces gonna come in opposition to one another? And it just, like,
In the World Soul Saga,
it seems to be,
I
like,
guess.
expressed through the Titan conflict. Like,
Not without
that should
pirates.
apparently happen at midnight, but... And I get it, but the truth is this. If the light wins, it is written, at least from the perspective of the Titans, that no matter what, the light will fade to void.
True. I mean, that's why we
And if
see
it
Naru
doesn't,
doing that.
then that means we're gonna get fucked by the forces of the light, because they're not gonna have anything to fight anymore.
Yeah.
It's why Chris
I mean,
Metz,
what if all the void is just light that's fallen into the void? What if the freaking void lords are actually old pieces of light that have just fallen? That could be the case. The light is just constantly creating void, right? It's a perfect balance. All of it is balanced. It doesn't make any sense if one side of this wins out over the other. Now, the forces between, how they struggle, yeah, sure, there's a constant battle going on here, but maybe neither one of these sides actually wants to win. It's this eternal struggle that keeps feeding both sides. That could be it. But to say one side completely wins over the other and then the other doesn't exist, well, one can't exist without the other, so that doesn't make any sense.
comes up on the stage and
Like
says,
males and females, sure.
the force of the light will push the void back. And then he says something along the lines of, and then things might just spiral wildly out of control. And it's like, okay,
React Andy.
wonder what that means. Because if we banish the forces of the void, which leads to the Titans returning,
Yeah, not good. I don't know if that's
I'm not
good.
so sure.
Yeah.
It's not going to be a good thing.
Yeah, it's all interesting, all related. Hey, maybe it's a bunch of BS. But I would just say again, FEL is much closer to the light than Arcane is, and the Titans are. That's for sure. So which side is truly evil? Probably neither. Just the way you use it makes you evil.